Hello and welcome, dear viewer, to yet another GGvision interview with me, Sebastian Sjöberg, breaking his temporary hiatus from YouTube to bring you an exclusive interview with none other than a very accomplished YouTuber, Dennis from ForceStrategyGaming.com. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Sebastian.
It's my pleasure indeed. It's great to have you on the show and to discuss how you look at esports, gaming, and how to make a business out of that. But before we get into all that good stuff, I'd just like to take the opportunity to say to all of you viewing that our hearts go out to the victims of the natural disaster in Japan with the earthquake and the tsunami and everything. And you, Dennis, you put up a video the other day discussing that in more detail and how you could help out. So just saying that to everybody watching.
Yeah, and if anyone who's interested in taking a look, I did provide links to help for donating for anyone affected by that tragedy. So if you could go ahead and at least take a look at that.
There you have it, viewers. However, let's get into the topic of today. Namely, Dennis, how long have you been a part of the YouTube StarCraft 2 community, not to mention the not even quite existing yet Diablo 3 YouTube community? Tell us your story.
Sure, absolutely. I started back in August of 2010, just kind of on a whim decided to post some videos about StarCraft 2. I've always been a competitive gamer in the sense that I've always liked the competition aspect of any sort of games, the PvP, if you will. Always liked online shooting games, and StarCraft has always been a game that's been a part of my growing up, the original StarCraft, and because of that, once StarCraft 2 came out, I felt like it would be kind of an exciting adventure to kind of just dive into that. And I basically started out actually not with Force. It was the name of my original channel was Chupacabra. And it's quite an interesting word. It's a Spanish demon, and it means goat sucker or something along those lines. But anyways, the reason I chose, obviously, the reason I chose that is because it's just a funny word that my girlfriend used to say, and that's just ended up being what it was. And then after a few weeks of that, I realized that it doesn't really fit, so I changed it to Force, and that was actually just kind of a gamer tag I'd used in the past. But yeah, I started out with just some basic commentary, and then I really started diving. I decided that everyone on YouTube was doing commentary, I suppose with the exception of Day 9.
Yep. And
I decided I kind of wanted to go in a different direction, distinguish myself, if you will. And that's when I started posting the strategy videos, and it kind of just took off from there. With not a lot of connections in the StarCraft community, I wasn't really big or well known on anything like Team Liquid, but the channel grew quite a bit, and now nearing 50,000 subscribers. It's gone
not bad at all.
Yeah, gone quite well for me, I would have to say.
That is no lie, and of course nowadays, as you say, everybody is doing commentary, apart from me. And so you've chosen to do something quite different, namely focusing on the strategy, though you do commentary as well, and we'll get into the Diablo 3 stuff later. Are you an accomplished strategist? Are you a very good StarCraft 2 player, or do you just have a knack for teaching?
Sure. I guess I would say it's probably a mixed bag of that. I've always been... I don't know, I wouldn't say accomplished or anything, but I've always been very good at communicating with people. Aside from this, I'm also a bartender. Part of my job is talking to people. In fact, I would say that's the largest part of my job. It more involves discussing things with people than it does serving them drinks most of the time.
It does.
And so that kind of, I think, carries into what I do professionally here. And aside from that, I've always been a competitive player, as I mentioned earlier. I've always performed quite well in Masters League now, and that, numerically that puts me in the top 2% of StarCraft players in my, North America division.
Yeah.
And so with that, I feel I'm definitely capable and understanding enough to to communicate these things to people. And like I said, I guess that coupled with the fact that communication is kind of a strong suit for me, it worked well. And teaching is something that I've always actually been interested in. In fact, there's been numerous times in the past where I thought that I would pursue a teaching degree at like a university or something. So this is obviously a little bit different than that, but it's somewhat along those same lines, Absolutely. I would have to say.
Well, 46,000 subscribers and counting. Well, it does say something. And personally, I must say that I discovered your channel not too long ago, because there are so many StarCraft 2 commentators out there that you had gone under my radar. But I'm very impressed, I must say. You seem to have a very solid avenue of content. And but it's more than just StarCraft. You also have a quite rich channel dedicated to a game that does not even exist yet, Diablo 3. Tell us about your outlook on Diablo 3 and how that comes into your YouTubing.
Sure. I'm really excited. It's going to be obviously a great game. Blizzard has really yet to disappoint when it comes to, the quality of their content. I mean, ever since, the original Warcraft RTS games and then StarCraft and Diablo, obviously all those games were great successes, and now their sequels and everything have turned out quite well as well. StarCraft 2 is obviously huge now, and the esports scene is quite growing. Definitely much in part due to the game itself. StarCraft 2 has definitely really pushed esports here. And I guess with that said, the point is that, Blizzard always produces quality games, and I'm looking forward quite much to Diablo 3. And I'm really, although they're not pursuing esports for it, I think it has the potential, at least to some extent.
Yeah.
I know that World of Warcraft has at least somehow eked its way into esports with MLG. They do have a showing at MLG for World of Warcraft, and I think that the type of competition that's going to take place in the arena for Diablo has that same opportunity. But esports aside, I know it's going to be a great game. It's going to have a huge following, just like Diablo 1 and 2 did. And I'm just excited to be able to cover that. I'm excited to be, basically the pioneer of Diablo 3 coverage on YouTube, because right now there's really nothing else out there at the moment. Yes,
very much so. I mean, your channel is, of course... Your channel is called ForceD3Strategy, and says what it does really. It will, I'm sure, teach people about Diablo 3, and you actually probably have YouTube's first Diablo 3 commentary of the BlizzCon footage of the PvP battles, and I just discovered that and became all euphoric, because I love watching esport, or something esporty at least, and now suddenly there was Diablo 3 commentary out, and I got all excited. And it's looking to be a great game. I would love for it to be competitive in a way that is, you can't really compare it to StarCraft, but competitive enough to support a scene. It would be really cool if they could take the World of Warcraft element and build upon that. And
I mean, I would definitely say that it has an opportunity, a competition. It's impossible for it to reach the type of balance and level that a game like StarCraft does, because that's the sole purpose of StarCraft is balance. And I would say any RPG type game, any game involving building a character and gearing can never obtain a perfect balance, just because there are too many variables. It's the same reason why, competitive WoW has, from patch to patch, its imbalances and its really strong classes and its strong arena, makeups, the teams and all of that. And I'm sure that Diablo will struggle with those same issues. It's just inherent in the type of game that it is. But the competition will be there, and there's definitely going to be people who take it pretty seriously. And I look to host tournaments. I'm definitely planning on doing that. Whether or not those can be sanctioned and have actually a prize pool or any money involved, that's going to depend on Blizzard support, because all of that stuff has to be run through them. But I think the opportunity is there, and that's quite exciting. And I guess, like you mentioned too, the channel itself, I intend on covering the commentary to kind of focus on these sports, and then just doing, basic strategy videos, also just kind of a run through of the game itself, how to defeat certain bosses, and then gearing guides and leveling guides and all those sorts of things. But yeah, there's a lot on the plate, but I'm looking forward to it.
Indeed, as we all should. I must admit I have similar plans and hopes of my own, because I've wasted I don't know how many hours on Diablo 2 and 1 back in the days, and I don't regret a single one of them, and it would be just a thrill to nowadays with broadband and YouTube community just put up some quality content there, and I think you're truly leading the way, so many applause. But something I do want to ask you, and I know something that many people watching this are very interested in hearing, is because you have achieved a high level of YouTube success. I mean, you have almost 50,000 subscribers on your main channel, you are a YouTube partner, and you seem to have an outlook on this whole thing that is not just a pure hobby. You seem to be business-minded about it all, even though it goes hand in hand with passion. Tell us a bit about how you combine this interest with a way of making money, and what your plans and ambitions are.
Sure. Plans and ambitions are quite high, as I feel they should be for everybody. No reason to not, as corny as this is going to sound, no reason to not shoot for the stars. But I would have to say, I'd have to liken it to this. I've talked about this quite a bit in the past, and I feel really fortunate that I've been able to, make a career and a living off of this, because that's kind of the point it's reached. And it's quite exciting to do something that you love and that you're passionate about, and be able to live off of it, so that this is what you do. I mean, everyone in the world needs some sort of income, because bills don't pay themselves and student loans don't pay themselves, car bills, not, you know what I mean? All those things need to be, all those things need to be taken care of in some means. So like I said, to be able to be in this position where I'm doing what I love and I'm making money off of it, it's exciting. For no other reason that it allows me to continuously do what I love and not have to go to some mundane job that I don't enjoy whatsoever, But
that's the dream.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I would fully suggest to anyone interested in that to just dive at it and pursue it. I put countless hours every day into the channel and working on the website and everything, and it's well worth it for me. A friend of mine recently got in touch with me, and he mentioned how proud he was of what I was doing. And he said this, which I think is very true. He said, I'd much rather be in a position that I'm working 14 hours for myself than 14 hours a day for myself than 8 hours a day for someone else. And I would have to agree with that. As far as where I plan to take it, well, I'm going to, continue to do what I'm doing. I love covering the StarCraft strategies, and I love doing the commentaries. And like we had just discussed, plan on moving into Diablo 3. And then from there, I'll kind of just see where it takes it. I'm going to be moving into other games and hopefully building the ForceStrategyGaming community to a point where it can cover a multitude of games. Aside from, as I'd mentioned, the initial reason for the startup was just interest. It really formed itself into the idea of, I'd really like to be a source of improvement for gamers out there. Uh-huh. That's kind of the whole goal, is to be a place for people to go when they want to improve their game. Obviously, there's different websites for every different type of game, but I kind of want it to be a centralized location where I want to improve at these games. I'll go to ForceStrategyGaming website, and that's where I can learn, how to be a better StarCraft 2 player, how to perform better in Diablo Arena, and then such and so forth once the time does come. So,
I see. So, I am sort of turning myself towards the ambitious viewer who may only have the dream of perhaps using YouTube, because video is all the rage now, and videos, that's a very fun format to be working with. He or she may have a dream to do something similar, and may only have that ambition as of yet. Your particular niche is how to improve, in this case StarCraft, in the future Diablo 3, and you've done quite well for yourself. How would you concretely recommend to someone to start up? What would be your sort of words of advice, what to do and what not to do?
Well, I think it's important to have a few things under your grasp before you pursue something like this. You obviously, quality is of the utmost importance. Aside from quantity, there's a balance between the two. You need to produce content on a regular basis for people to maintain a level of interest in what you're doing. which is why, I had mentioned to you in a prior discussion how anytime I go a couple of days without posting a video, I can see a little dip in viewership there. And it's pretty obvious, the people want that continuous content. That's what people are looking for. So you have to be willing to do that. In all honesty, if you're looking to grow, you have to be willing to provide that continuous content. And then, like I mentioned, having the quality, making sure that you know and you love what you're doing. If you love the game that you're covering, whatever it is, if you're playing consoles, PC games, if you're covering Wii games, whatever type of format, whatever type of game that you're covering, just make sure that you, first of all, love it, and it obviously helps to be good at it. Because the truth is, nobody wants to get advice from someone who performs lower than themselves. So if you can be at a level where people are going to be willing to listen to you, then that is obviously beneficial as well. But aside from that, just pursue that dream and put in the work, and it'll pay off. And I would even add as an aside to that you don't necessarily need to be the best, or for example, in StarCraft, you don't necessarily need to be a master's level player. If you're entertaining as well, that goes a long way. You can take a look at people like Husky and HD. A large portion of their viewership is because of the entertainment value behind their cast. And that obviously speaks. It goes a long way. So
it clearly does. And there's no doubt that esports, video games in general, but particularly the more and more competitive aspect of that community is a very lucrative field right now. Just looking at StarCraft, we have, of course, the GSL over at gomtv.net in Korea, and now the recently established and soon to be properly launched North American Star League. It's all very much happening. I know that soon, and I'm not really at liberty to tell too much, but here in Sweden we will have a very nice announcement coming out in April as well. And it's getting very global, and indeed people are making money of this now, and not just as players, but in many roles. It's all happening. How do you look at the growing esports scene, and how do you think it may continue to progress? What are the pitfalls, and what can we hope for?
Well, I think that goes hand in hand with kind of the growth of the gaming industry. It seems like nowadays more and more people are accepting gaming as a form of entertainment, and I think that's the best way to look at it. It's really no different than someone sitting down and watching TV or going to the movies. This is just another form of entertainment, albeit a little more interactive, because it actually involves some input from the player itself. But I would definitely have to say that the growth of esports is helping add a legitimacy to it. To gaming in general. I guess it's the same idea as movie stars getting paid for their roles in movies. Gaming stars, if you will, are getting paid for their abilities, for their ability to perform well. And I mean that's exciting, and it's funny too, because like I mentioned, it's almost more so on the entertainment side of things than it is on the sports side of things. But obviously there's a skill involved. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The top end players do what they do because they're much more skilled than the average player. But it's kind of a partnership of the two, the entertainment and the sports. But I guess to the point is that it's definitely exciting. Like I said, it's adding legitimacy to it. People are looking at it as an accepted form nowadays. Indeed. So it's pretty exciting.
It is very, very exciting. I mean, you mentioned that you were an old Brood War fan, and many people watching would be as well. And I remember when this community, that is now the StarCraft 2 community, was stuck in 1998 graphics-wise, and just living on the very outskirts of World of Warcraft and Xbox titles. And now all of a sudden those same people and many more new followers have been put into the very limelight, and it's suddenly happening here in the StarCraft scene and leading the charge. I mean, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars will be in the NASL, but there's several, and it's truly the year of the Hydralisk, as I'm fond of saying, for people wanting to get in, even as just a single YouTuber with a dream. But I suppose you mentioned the entertainment factor, and that is something that I've been thinking about a lot as well. Skill is necessary to be a competitive pro gamer and to be shown on internet TV, etc. But there's also the fun factor, the very thing that makes you want to watch like the GSL and not just the YouTube commentary, is that you get the legacy and the pictures of pro gamers, etc. And many of them are, not too charismatic. I mean, the closest thing we have to a bad boy is Idra, and frankly, we need a Voldemort, not an angry Harry Potter.
Yeah.
How do you see that? Because in order to this to become truly legitimate and something that is a household form of entertainment, esports, we need to have more of that human factor. I don't want it to be like American wrestling, but we need it to be more accessible. What are your thoughts on it developing into a more, I don't know, fun-friendly format? Or
yeah, sure. I guess I would have to say that in terms of the entertainment and it being a little more accepted or a kind of household, like you said, I think that that's something that is probably going to come with time. I mean, we definitely have a lot of charismatic people involved. Obviously, In Control kind of heading the charge here with the North American Star League. And I would say he's a quite charismatic individual.
He's the bicep toss, indeed.
Yeah, that's right. So he's someone that's definitely going to help that. And help get more people roped in. But it obviously is also going to play back to the fact that the truth is someone looking to watch competitive StarCraft obviously has to be interested in StarCraft to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't think that someone who takes no interest in the game is even going to be remotely interested in watching things, the competitive scene for it. But with that said, I know that I myself get a lot of comments and a lot of messages and a lot of viewers saying that they don't even play StarCraft, but they enjoy watching the game.
Yeah.
And those would obviously be gamers in general. So I think that it's going to kind of go hand in hand with the growth of gaming as an accepted form of media is going to help the growth of esports. And then that kind of bounces off each other. The growth of esports will help the growth of gaming because it's become entertaining. But it's definitely important, like you said, the skill that is involved definitely important because nobody is going to want to watch a professional bronze level game. People are looking for the masters and professional level players because they're so much better than themselves, and that's kind of where the entertainment is driven from. They enjoy watching it because these players are doing things that they themselves can't do. But I mean, personalities are going to get involved in it, and as it grows, that more and more people will get involved, and maybe we'll have that Voldemort.
As long as he's skilled, because of course that comes first.
Yeah.
But an interesting thing with the StarCraft 2 scene is that the true celebrities and the charismatic characters are the commentators, much more so than the players. Probably because they are the ones giving voice to what's going on, and even though that builds upon the skill and the showcasing of skill of players, it's the Day 9, the Huskies, the Tasteless, the Artosis, and indeed the ForceStrategyGaming that are sort of the ambassadors, the people you turn to. We know you guys more than we do the players. Would you agree, and is that a good thing?
I guess I would say that's definitely true. I mean, you associate with the person that you listen to on a regular basis. You get to know them in one way or another. So as such, you identify with them, and that's kind of who you would look to, and that's why the continued success of people like HC and Husky, it partially isn't due to the fact that they were kind of the first ones there in a big way when it came to StarCraft 2. They were one of the initial. They were basically the initial two people to start really pumping out content, and so that's who people came to know, and then as such, they kept going back to there, and success begates more success, so just kind of kept compounding onto itself. But yeah, I would have to say, at least to some extent, that the people are identifying with and connecting to the personalities of the commentators, and that has to do with it. Now, in terms of becoming more closely associated to the players, I think that there's definitely a push for that. With all the interviews, I mean, people like you doing interviews of any of the professional level players, and then I think that Artosis has a few interviews with Idra and people of the like, and that definitely helps, because getting people connected to the player is what's going to keep driving people back, as well as who's commentating. Because I mean, there are plenty of good commentators out there. It isn't even necessarily the people who are in the limelight that are the best. Take that for
True.
what it may be, but there's lots of good commentators out there, and I think it's more the skill of the player that's going to be the real driving factor, because that's really what matters. That's what people are really looking to watch.
Yeah, I think the pro gamer who is recognized as such, who starts doing his, or indeed her, own commentating as well, taking upon both mantles, is the superstar of tomorrow. But we've yet to see that in a big way. Because
I don't mean to interrupt, but that seems quite some ways away. If it does actually even ever come about happening, I would have to say that, knowing the amount of time and effort that goes into being able to commentate, it seems to me to be nearly impossible to maintain a professional level of play and commentate at the same time, because commentating is a full-time job and being a professional player is a full-time job. And you have to make sacrifices. There's only, so many hours in the day. You have to make sacrifices at one end to maintain the other. So it seems like a difficult task, I guess I would say. To be able to, and that's something that I've definitely thought about before. I mean, obviously, spending so much time commentating and making videos and everything that goes on behind the scenes pulls away from playtime that I have. And that's the case for anybody. I mean, it's just, again, there's only so many hours to work with. So,
no, I think if that were to happen, it would be a more than a one-man job. It would take a bit of an organization to put that together, but the rewards could be quite lucrative. But speaking of the development of the scene, we have now soon starting up properly the Team Liquid Star League number 3, the first one in StarCraft 2, which will be the biggest and most probably the bestest online held tournament ever in almost any regard. And that's going to be very exciting. But also in all of this, in all the esports glory we've been talking about, there's the old school factor that meeting up together to play a game at a LAN event or a tournament is what's really fun. And I know that you are involved with something called the New England StarCraft 2 League, and are very fond of the activity of going to an event, meeting people over gaming. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. I started basically attending these events a few months ago. Kind of the person spearheading this is a man who goes by the name of Drogoth, and he basically works with a few other people to form the New England StarCraft 2 League. And it's essentially what you said. We meet up and there's a competition. There's any basic tournament. It's like the old school LANs, if you will. Obviously, we still need that BattleNet connection because that's the only way to do it. But I think there's a lot to be said about that. I mean, it's the same reason why, I wholeheartedly support the big events like MLG or any event that's going to require people to actually be there and be involved. Because there's a lot to be said behind the community building that forms, and, getting to meet the players and getting to meet other individuals in the community like the commentators. I think that's really important. I mean, I myself, just attending these events, have met quite a few people who have watched my videos and learned from my videos and taken something away from it. And I think that's a good thing. I think being able to connect on that level is a good thing. Prior to being, heavily involved in this, I'd always been a gamer, console and, trading cards. I used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I quite frequently, in fact, almost every Saturday for a few years, attended tournaments. And it's some very fond memories there, just being involved with other people and competing with an actual person next to you. And again, I think there's a lot to be said for it. I have ambitions to eventually open up my own store. It won't obviously be a LAN center because I feel like LANs are falling by the wayside with everyone being connected to things like BattleNet nowadays. But just having a venue for people to gather, I think, is an important aspect. And yeah, there's a lot to be said about it. So I'm really excited about this. I actually have an upcoming tournament this Saturday taking place in Dover, New Hampshire for the New England StarCraft 2 League. So I'm going to be commentating and live streaming that, and it should be fun. I'm excited.
It does sound pretty awesome, and I can only agree that some of my fondest memories from way back in the day were the LAN events, way before we had broadband over here in what is practically Internet Siberia, and you just sat together in some basement and played games all day and night. It was just a lot of fun. The immersement into the shared interest. It can be quite a lovely thing. Applause. We'll look forward to watching the live stream. I'm sure you will put up some content onto YouTube as well.
Yeah, and I'll be sure. There's already a video I posted last week about the tournament itself. But before the tournament takes place, I'm going to make a video linking to the live stream and everything, which is just, I have a Justin TV live stream account, which is Justin TV/ForceStrategyGaming. And I live stream, my private lessons there and games that I play. And again, things like this event, I'll be live streaming as well.
That is very cool indeed. And speaking of going to events, I know you, of course, as you already said, live on the US East Coast, and there are many events taking place in North America, like the MLGs and whatnot, and the North American Star League, at least the finals will be held in LA. Can we expect ForceStrategyGaming to be present at some of these big events in 2011? Can your fans be seeing you there?
Yeah, absolutely. I fully intend on attending as many events as I can. I unfortunately wasn't able, PAX East was held just yesterday, in fact.
Yeah.
On Saturday the 12th. And I unfortunately wasn't able to make it to that, but I really decided that this year is I'm going to make that concentrated effort to attend as many events as I can. And I'll always let people know what I am able to and capable of attending. I guess I know for certain that I'll be going to BlizzCon this year. And aside from that, I will be looking to go to the MLG events as well. But again, it just all plays back to the community and getting in touch and involved with people. I think that's an important aspect that people shouldn't forget, especially, with that focus on online and so many different commentators. And there seems to be a segregation, at least to some extent, between, people liking this guy over that guy. But I think it's important to realize that, this is a community thing. And if we're going to grow, if esports is going to grow and become legitimate, there needs to be some sort of cohesiveness between people. And something else that I think is really funny too, is that it's important to realize that we're all just guys talking about video games. Let's not kid ourselves here. We're all doing the exact same thing. There's no need for people to be snotty in the sense that they like, oh, this guy's so much better than that guy. It's like, come on, we're all just gamers. Let's take it easy. Take a deep breath and realize we're all of the same kin,
We're a bunch of very sincere nerds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no denying it.
Yeah, preference of flavor shouldn't come in the way of embracing that we all love ice cream.
Exactly.
So, yes, indeed, I can only agree. And do have fun at that LAN like we all used to do in the olden days. Before we round this off, Dennis, are there any particular things we should not forget to mention? Of course, we haven't really gone into the fact that you do give out lessons as well, not just strategic, general, helpful video tutorials, but actual lessons.
Yeah, no, I've been doing... it's funny because I started the channel, like I said, in August of last year, and even just about a month into it, after I started coming out with the strategy content, I got a lot of requests for personalized lessons. And then it was at that point that I realized that, there's a lot of people who actually look for something like this. And I think it's important to realize that it's the same as any other hobby. People, even if they're not looking to go on a professional level, want to improve in the hobbies that they enjoy. My father takes golf lessons. He doesn't plan to be in the PGA Tour anytime soon, and that's fine. He takes golf lessons because he likes golf and he wants to improve. And I think the same can definitely be said for StarCraft lessons. And it's something that's relatively recent if you look at just video games and people looking to take lessons. It's a relatively recent occurrence, I would have to say. It's not something that's always been around. I don't recall anybody taking Pong lessons. I'm sure it's possible, or Tetris lessons, but it's pretty cool, and I'm definitely happy to provide the service. There's definitely a lot of people who can take a lot from it, and people who are interested in lessons, they can find out more about it on the website ForceStrategyGaming.com. I've basically got a whole Q&A there written out, and then you can sign up, register, and pay for the lessons and all of that. But I think it's a good thing, again, for people who are looking for it and can afford, to get private lessons for a video game. Why not? I mean, again, it's their prerogative. So,
yeah, totally. There's a demand for it. Let's provide the service. And in case people didn't know, I can tell you all that the famous player QXC, who did not do too well at the recent Intel Extreme Masters, but who's definitely one of the very best Western pro gamers we got around, he 1 year ago, pretty much exactly, actually, was just a nobody. A Terran player with an ambition, and that was just before the StarCraft 2 beta came out, and he took private lessons from In Control. This was before Gosu coaching and everything, and In Control and I actually hosted a little tournament called the Dark Horse Tournament, which was a battle among his disciples, and QXC won it all. A year later, well, he's climbed quite far, so it's very possible, and with a bit of guidance, which could be worth paying for, you can climb up there so much faster.
Yeah, and I guess I would definitely have to say too that with a game like StarCraft, there's so much to know and there's so much to figure out, and there's definitely a case where people learn, and this is the case with anything in life, people learn in different ways. Some people can learn by sitting down and just reading the forums. Some people can learn by just watching videos online. But there's definitely a portion of people who learn best by, personal instruction, having someone kind of over their shoulder, telling them what they should be doing and looking for. And then I would say also having that second set of eyes is a benefit of doing something like lessons, having someone right there to tell you, okay, that's something that needs improvement. You need to work on that. This is how you do it,
Yeah, as we've already said time over again, it's all about the social aspect, about breaking out of your own little void and start interacting with others, if that is at a LAN or over the internet. As long as there's some sort of interaction, it's a lot more fun and it's a lot more effective.
Absolutely.
So again, Dennis, thank you so much for taking your time. Are there any final things we should mention that you'd like to share with your many fans watching?
Well, thanks for having me, and I guess to the fans out there, look forward to just continued quality content. I have some exciting things in the works, and again, look forward to seeing me at local events, and then also kind of national events across the country. I do intend on going to those, and here's to the growth of esports and the StarCraft community. And thanks a lot to people like you, Sebastian, for having these types of discussions and getting people involved. It definitely helps a lot, helps the growth for certain.
Well, thank you very much for saying so. Thanks all around for all the good content being spread, and I can't wait to see you doing the Diablo 3 thing once we actually get a game to be playing. And before we round this off, I'd like to do a quick shout out to fans of my own channel watching this. I haven't been producing content too much lately, and there will be a couple of weeks where I'll be more or less absent. I'm sorry, but when I do return, it will be much stronger, and finally there will be GGvision commentary. And maybe, Dennis, we could do a dual commentary at some point.
I think that's a good idea, Sebastian.
Looking forward to it. Thanks again, Dennis, from ForceStrategyGaming.com for coming on the show. You're a super dude and a scholar.
Cheers to you too. It was great having you.
My pleasure. GG and out.